Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military with Summary channel, and today we will discuss the situation in Ukraine on the 19th of November of 2025. Today we have a lots of very interesting updates, so let's start. But before we start, I would like to tell you that it seems that the special military operation will be finished much faster than anybody can expect. So today we received lots of interesting updates about the situation on the ground, about the situation with the massive attack across Ukraine with hundreds of drones and dozens of missiles, about the corruption scandal and so on, and everything tells us just about one thing, that most likely Ukraine is ready to accept the Russia's demands and so on. So let's start discussing everything, and first let's talk once again about massive attack across the entire territory of Ukraine that took place between the 18th and the 19th of November of 2025. So this is the map that was published this morning by several pro-Ukrainian sources, and here we can see the approximate routes of Russian attack. As you can see, the Russians attacked almost the entire eastern part of Ukraine, the city of Kharkiv, the city of Pokrovsk, Konstantinovka, Slavyansk, Kramatorsk, the city of Dnipro, and the Russians attacked the western part of Ukraine, the cities of Ternopil and Lvov. Lots of explosions and lots of damages were recorded exactly in the western part of Ukraine. Later, the pro-Ukrainian sources stated that Russia used 524 air vehicles for these purposes, and Ukrainians are saying that they managed to bring down just 483 air vehicles. But if you ask my opinion, and according to videos that were published from the western part of Ukraine, it seems that Ukraine hasn't managed to bring down even a single missile or a single drone. So let's discuss videos in details, because during the previous 12 hours, during the previous day, we received lots of videos of Russian missiles and drones that were flying above Ukraine, and how Russians were destroying objects of critical infrastructure across the western part of Ukraine. So probably this is the key video of the previous 24 hours, and this video tells us about the exact situation with Ukrainian air defense system. So what can we see during this video? The author of this video stated that in this video we can see up to 7 missiles. Some sources are saying that there were 9 missiles that attacked the same critical infrastructural objects. 9 or 7 missiles attacked a very important object in the territory of the western part of Ukraine without any resistance from Ukrainian air defense. As a result of this attack, the logistical hub was completely destroyed. So this is another video from the Ternopil area. Here we can see the city probably this morning, probably 6 or 7 or 8 a.m., very early in the morning. We can see smoke above the city. The sources are saying that as a result of attack, a building was destroyed in the central part of the city. Furthermore, the sources are saying that there are lots of casualties among civilians. The special services of Ternopil are trying to fix the situation, to stabilize the situation, but once again, during the previous 24 hours, lots of casualties were recorded among civilians. Another city that was attacked by Russia heavily was the city of Lvov. From this area we received also lots of videos. The sources are saying that the Russians were attacking mainly the southwestern part of the city, so this area. So when talking about this satellite picture, we don't see anything in this area, but the fresh satellite data shows us that there is a very huge logistical hub of Ukraine. So this is all these constructions most likely have been built since the beginning of the special military operation. So there is no fields anymore. As you can see, there are no fields. There are lots of barracks, hangars, and buildings. Most likely Ukraine was using this facility for the logistical purposes and probably for military purposes. So Russia attacked this territory, and as a result of attack, this logistical, let's say, center base was almost completely destroyed. Here we can see how special forces of Lvov were trying to stabilize the situation. They carry out evacuation and so on. So this is the same place, but from another angle, probably right after Russia attacked the city of Lvov. So once again, the Russians probably were trying to destroy military objects and military facilities, maybe objects of critical infrastructure. But once again, according to information we have, according to videos, there were lots of casualties casualties among civilians. So this is the situation with the previous massive attack. And you know that all these massive attacks is not the only problem for Ukraine, for the Ukraine as a state, and for population of Ukraine, for Ukrainians. Probably corruption is even a bigger threat and bigger problem for Ukraine. And today we received lots of interesting updates about this situation. So first of all is that Ukrainian Energy Minister Svetlana Grinchuk, accused of large-scale corruption, secretly left the country last night. And I tried today to calculate the official data or data about probably famous, popular, and important people, political people, businessmen that left Ukraine since the beginning of the corruption scandal. And you know that I calculated 5 top managers or top businessmen of Ukraine. The first person who left Ukraine was a businessman, Mindich. He left Ukraine and he was from the inner circle of Zelensky. The second person who left Ukraine was Rustam Umerov. He is the consul of the Secretary of Defense and Security of Ukraine. And he left, and he is one of the most important peoples. He plays one of the most important role in the Ukrainian authorities. And according to information we have, he left Ukraine several days ago. So 3 or 4 or 5 days ago, almost at the same time when the crisis, the corruption crisis, started brewing on the territory of Ukraine. The third person who left Ukraine, officially known, is this woman. She is a former energy minister. Her name is Svetlana Grinchuk. And we have 2 more updates about 2 more people who left Ukraine according to this corruption scandal. The fourth person who left Ukraine is the second person in Ukraine by the name of Andrei Yermak. So as we discussed, he is a great cardinal of Zelensky. He is the second powerful person in Ukraine. And according to different sources, he left Ukraine during the previous 24 hours. The sources are saying that first he had a meeting, the meeting was planned between him and Steve Witkoff, and these talks were scheduled on Wednesday, so today, and these talks should have happened today on the territory of Turkey, but in the last moment Steve Witkoff rejected and cancelled this meeting with Yermak, and later we got report, probably a few hours later we got report that Yermak urgently left for London to meet with Valery Zaluzhny. Valery Zaluzhny is the former commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Ukraine. Currently, he is the ambassador on the territory of the United Kingdom. So Yermak will have a meeting with Valery Zaluzhny, and probably Yermak will ask the United Kingdom for additional protection from, let's say, from Ukraine or probably from the Western countries and so on. So most likely, we will not see Yermak anymore, or at least we will not see him during the next days. And today, another and the 5th very important person left Ukraine, and most likely also according to and because of this corruption scandal. And you would be surprised when you find out what I'm talking about. Today, according to information we have, the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, left the territory of Ukraine and he came to Turkey as well. So of course we can say that this is an official visit, and Zelensky is going to have a meeting with the president of Turkey, Erdogan, maybe with some representatives of the United States of America. Maybe this is the exact situation. But once again, he is not on the territory of Ukraine. This is a very important thing, and he cannot be arrested, he cannot be checked, and he cannot be investigated by the anti-corruption, let's say, office. So which means that partially he is hiding from this office as well on the territory of Turkey. And by the way, this is a very important video, because during this video he met and shook a hand with Rustam Umerov. So this is the second person who left Ukraine when the corruption scandal started. And according to information we have, he was involved into corruption schemes with bodyguards. So with this different armor on the body that were recognized as problematic or very bad in the beginning of the special military operation, when this person was the Minister of Defense of Ukraine. So the sources are saying that Zelensky came to Turkey with the purpose to restart the negotiation process with the Russian Federation. But if you ask my opinion, I believe that Zelensky is hiding on the territory of Turkey until the end of all these scandals and problems. Another important thing is that the United States of America, according to information we have begun preparation as they are started secretly developing a new peace plan for Ukraine. And this peace plan is basing on the let's say results of negotiations that took place on the Alaska between Putin and Trump. And the most important thing is that most likely this plan has been already prepared by the United States of America, because today two military and political authorities of the United States of America came to Ukraine with the purpose to discuss this plan with Ukrainians. Pentagon representatives arrived in Kyiv to discuss peace talks, according to Politico. Most likely, the U.S. Secretary of the Army Dan Driscoll and Army Chief of Staff Randy George in Ukraine, they came here with the plan, with this peace plan with 28 paragraphs. They are holding meetings with Ukrainian leadership, but as we know, the Ukrainian leadership is currently on the territory of Turkey. The main goal of the trip is to engage with the Ukrainian leadership on the stalled peace process with Russia. So the sources are saying that Zelensky is going to return back to Ukraine tomorrow with Rustam Umerov. So we'll see whether it's going to happen or not. And these two Pentagon representatives are going to show Zelensky this plan that was prepared by the United States of America. This is not going to something to discuss. This is not going to something to talk about. This is going to be an ultimatum from the United States of America. Zelensky will be forced to accept this plan. Otherwise, most likely, a few more corruption scandals will be revealed to society and to Ukrainians. And when Zelensky accepts this ultimatum, these two representatives, according to information we have, will travel to the Russian Federation, to Moscow, with the purpose to have a meeting, most likely with the president of the Russian Federation, Putin, and probably with his representatives. So once again, as I told you, it seems that the special military operation will be finished much faster than anybody can expect. So everything depends on today, and everything depends on tomorrow's. More precisely, everything depends on whether the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, will accept this ultimatum from the United States of America, or he will not do this. Because most likely, if he rejects, the United States of America will say go ahead to the anti-corruption office and detectives of Ukraine for additional searches and additional investigations against Zelensky and his inner circle. So the situation is very critical. Anyway, let's wait and see what is going to be next. But the most interesting things are just ahead of us. Now let's discuss the situation on the ground, and first let's talk about the Zaporozhye direction, where the Russians continue their offensive operation. During the previous 24 hours, we received lots of very interesting updates. And first let's talk about the Gulay Polye direction. As you can see, the map has been updated. This is the situation by the end of the 18th of November of 2025, and this is the situation by the end of the 19th of November. As you can see, according to pro-Ukrainian mappers, the Russians, as a result of clashes during the previous 24 hours, managed to enter two settlements in this area. The village of Veselye was entered from the eastern part of the settlement, and the Russians entered the southeastern part of the settlement of Zatishya. Several pro-Russian sources colored the settlement of Veselye under complete Russian control by the end of the 19th of November. But the most important video is coming from the settlement of Zatishya. This village was geolocated, and here we can see how 4 Ukrainian soldiers were running away from the settlement of Zatishya in the direction of the city by the name of Gulay Polye. They were running as fast as it possible. They were running as fast as they could. But the problem is that Russia's drone managed to get them somewhere in this area. So they haven't managed to reach this dense network of the fortifications, and they haven't managed to get the city of Gulay Polye. So we start receiving first proofs that Ukrainians began running from their positions on the Gulay Polye direction, which means that in coming days the Russians will intensify their offensive operation, and it seems that the city of Gulay Polye would be captured by Russians much faster than also anybody can expect. Other important updates are coming from the northern direction of the Zaporozhye direction, from the Zaporozhye front line. During the previous 24 hours or 48 hours, the Russians managed to improve their position significantly. The Russians are taking under control positions along the river of Volcha. So it seems that the Russians are trying to secure the entire river of Volcha and then to move further in the northern direction. As of the movement in the northern direction, it's very difficult to predict when exactly this is going to happen or whether this is going to happen ever, because tomorrow anything is possible. Zelensky can accept the ultimatum of the United States of America and then the war will be finished within weeks or maybe even days. But as of now, the Russians continue their preparations because the Russians understand that the West, currently everything that we can see might be just another game of the Western countries. So that is why the Russians are trying to stay on the safe side. Now let's discuss the situation in the Poltava direction. In the Pavlograd direction, during the previous 24 hours, the Russians managed to improve their position significantly on the territory of the settlement of Novopavlovka. This is the situation by the end of the 18th of November, and this is the situation by the end of the 19th of November. We adjusted the map based on the video that was published by Ukrainian 42nd Mechanized Brigade. Here we can see how Ukrainians were attacking and positions of the armed forces of the Russian Federation across the settlement of Novopavlovka. There are lots of episodes in this video, and one of the episodes was geolocated exactly at this point. Based on this video, we came to the conclusion that currently Russia controls more than 60% of the settlement, and the Russians continue advancing in this area. As for the city of Pokrovsk and the Pokrovsk agglomeration, during the previous 24 hours we haven't received anything special. Just the same situation. The Russians are advancing, the Russians are bombing and attacking positions of the armed forces of Ukraine in the eastern part of the city of Mirnograd. Ukrainians during the previous 24 hours made several attempts to break through this encirclement from inside of the cordon and from the outside, but all those attacks were repelled by Russia. Ukrainians lost soldiers, and this is the story about the city. The Russians are trying to hold this configuration of the front line, and the Russians are trying to convince Ukrainians on the territory of the cordon to surrender and to save their lives. As for the city of Konstantinovka and the Konstantinovka agglomeration, during the previous 24 hours, a small change on the ground was discovered in the territory of the settlement of Ivanopolia. This information was provided by neutral mappers. So we see that the Russians continue advancing, and most likely in coming days, the settlement of Ivanopolia would be captured and secured by Russia completely. As for the Sivers direction, during the previous 24 hours, this direction was the most interesting and the most important. So first of all, I would like to point your attention to this number of updates and icons that are coming from this area. The concentration of events that are coming from this area is telling us just about one thing, that the Russians seems launch their major offensive operation, and the Russians are tasked to secure the settlement of Siversk, the village of Yampol, and to break through Ukrainian defense with the purpose to get to the city of Slaviansk. So let's discuss everything. And first, let's talk about the city of Siversk. We haven't received anything additional in comparison with the previous video. We have already discussed the situation in the city of Siversk, but let's discuss everything once again. So Russians launched their major offensive operation, or it's more correct to say that everything began falling apart 2 days ago on the 17th of November of 2025. So once again, this is the situation on the 16th of November, and this is the situation by the end of the 17th of November, and this is exactly the moment when the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation stated that the village of Platonovka was captured by the armed forces of the Russian Federation. And from this very moment, the logistic roads that were heading towards the city of Siversk were cut by Russia physically. By the end of the 18th of November, Russians secured this dense network of the fortifications in the southern part of the settlement. Later, by the end of the 19th of November, we received 3 videos from the city of Siversk, from its southern part, and these 3 videos confirm that Russia have a strong control over the territory. In this video, we could see how Ukrainians were ambushed at this point. In this video, we can see how 2 Russian sabotage and reconnaissance soldiers were moving from the northern part of the Siversk in the southern direction, which also confirms Russian strong control over this territory. And in this video, we can see how Ukrainians were attacking Russian soldiers that were trying to enter the city of Siversk, and how Russians were trying to move between positions in the city limits. So based on these 3 videos, we adjusted the map. Furthermore, several pro-Russian sources stated that the entire eastern part of the city of Siversk was completely captured by the armed forces of the Russian Federation, and neutral mappers clarified that almost the entire dense network of the fortifications, this one, was also captured by the armed forces of the Russian Federation. So based on this configuration, based on these updates, we believe that during the next 2 or 3 weeks, Russia will be able to capture everything to the east, either of the river of Bakhmutka or to the east of the railways. So the city of Siversk, the days of the city of Siversk are numbered. As for the city of Liman, today we received a very interesting update that was published by pro-Ukrainian sources. So this is the map that was published yesterday, and this is the map that was published this morning by pro-Ukrainian sources. And according to these changes, as we can see, the territory between the TO513 road and, let's say, the northern part of the city of the village of Yampol is already considered by pro-Ukrainian sources as a gray zone. So we can say that everything inside of this area is already a gray zone according to pro-Ukrainian sources, which means that it's just several days before Russians will secure this territory completely, and they will confirm this information. So we believe that in coming days the settlement of Yampol would be also secured by the armed forces of the Russian Federation, and this can lead to complete collapse of Ukrainian defense in the Slaviansk direction. And it seems that the battle for the heart and of the Donbas Arc operation, we're talking about Kramatorsk and Slaviansk, can happen much faster than anybody can expect. As for the Kupiansk direction, during the previous 24 hours, nothing special happened. As for the Volchansk area, during the previous 24 hours, several neutral mappers clarified the situation on the ground. The armed forces of the Russian Federation yesterday finished the battle for the settlement of Tsegelne. We adjusted the map based on the report of the Minister of Defense and the Group of Forces North. And today we got report that the Russians began advancing in the central part of the southern part of the city of Volchansk. So as you can see, these are the changes on the ground that were recorded according to neutral mappers. This is the situation by the end of the 18th, and this is the situation by the end of the 19th of November. So the Russians are about to finish the battle for the city of Volchansk, and when this battle finishes, Russia will enter the operational space of the Kharkiv region, and they will begin advancing further in the direction of the settlement of Bely Kolodys. But once again, and this is a very important thing to understand, that these 2 days lots of questions will be resolved by Ukrainian authorities, by Zelensky himself. Most likely he has already made this decision. Tomorrow he will accept the ultimatum from the United States of America, and most likely tomorrow in the evening he will give us the answer to the situation. So very difficult to understand how the things are going to be developed in the area of the special military operation. But once again, everything can be finished much faster than anybody can expect. And that's it for today. Military Summary channel reminds you to condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.